It is I, your host, Marco Alvarado, coming at you on this Friday, the 23rd of 2020. How has your week been? Mine has been rather relaxed. But how is yours? I will listen. Great. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear that it has been a good week for you. If you said that it was good, if it hasn't been the best, there are better days, brighter days to come. And there's a bit of hope. And that's what this theme for this episode is. Now, I'm not going to do a theme of the week for this week just because, honestly, it was one of those weeks I really couldn't come up with one. But the theme for this episode is some hope. Because I'm starting to see some. And let's just jump into why I'm seeing some hope and why I'm starting to garner some hope, which is kind of a scary thing because from my experience, hope is always met by shortcomings of expectations, but not all the time. That's just the trend in my life. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's just the way things are overall in every situation. And what am I talking about? Well, last week I said that I wasn't going to talk about politics until something happened that really forced me to. Well, we had a debate this week, so I kind of have to talk about that. I'm recording this episode actually right after the debate ended, so I have to hit on it. If you don't want to hear about the debate specifically, look in the description and I'll put a timestamp so you can skip over this part and just listen to me talk about the second thing I am going to discuss today, which is voting. So it's also political, but it's not about the debate. But specifically about the debate, Biden and Trump fielded questions on coronavirus, foreign ties, and other topics during their final debate. President Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden met in Nashville on Thursday night for the final debate before the November election. Moderator Kristen Welker of NBC News first asked about the coronavirus, with Trump claiming that he is immune now following his infection. He also said the death toll of 22,000 Americans is lower than some projections estimated. Biden pushed back, saying Trump has continuously downplayed the pandemic and promised it would go away soon, adding that his ineptitude led to businesses shutting down. When asked about election security, Trump deflected and accused Biden of accepting millions from Russia, an allegation Biden denied. Biden urged Trump to release his taxes, calling him out for saying multiple times over the last 4 years that he would make them public. Regarding healthcare, Trump said he'd like to terminate Obamacare and come up with a brand new, beautiful plan, but did not go into specifics. When asked about Black Lives Matter, Trump said he was the least racist person in this room. A statement Biden scoffed at, calling him one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history, citing his ads calling for the death penalty against the Central Park Five. So there's a lot to touch on here, but I'm going to talk about that last part first. I am the least racist person in this room. The least racist. Therefore, he says that he is racist. Trump racist confirmed. 2020. Literally. I mean, if you're the least racist, yeah, you might be the least, but you're still racist. It's just pretty funny. Like even with that phrasing, I wish Biden would have gotten him on that. Just be like, so you admit it. But that would have been pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, overall, it was a pretty standard debate. It was better than the first one, for sure, in terms of clarity, in terms of it actually being a debate, not just two old men kind of talking over each other. So, I mean, Biden, he may have won some people over here. Trump didn't really say anything of substance. Everything was just, deflecting and talking like he wasn't the president, just pointing the finger, at Biden, being like, oh, for 8 years he had time to do everything he wanted to do. He wasn't able to do anything. Him and Obama weren't able to do anything, right? But in over 4 years, Trump hasn't really been able to make any progress in the way that, in terms of the questions that were asked, he wasn't able to make any progress in any of those things. So it was pretty difficult for Trump to really use his tactic of punching down as president because, I mean, before in 2016, he had the benefit of being the underdog, the person punching up, right? Now he's president 4 years down the drain, and there's things to back up claims of him being a shit president. So his whole thing of saying like he's not a, you know, like I'm not a real politician, I'm not like the rest of them. I'm gonna make things change. I'm gonna drain the swamp. You know, all that shit doesn't work anymore. He tried to get back to that for a second in this debate, which I found kind of funny. Overall, though, not really anything to write home about. Kristen Welker, I must say, didn't do that great of a job as a moderator. I understand that it's a tough gig. You know, I probably would not have done any better, and I'm not claiming I would have at all. All I'm saying is she let Trump walk all over her this entire debate. Both of them really, but Trump is the more persistent out of the two, and he's the more abrasive. So he would, every time, he just wanted to reply to everything, and wouldn't really let her continue the questions that she had. And she wasn't very stern or very aggressive with them either, being like, no, we're going to move on. I would have loved to have seen her be a little bit more poignant, but oh well. Oh well. Overall, I don't think Biden hurt his image at all. Trump, you know, in a certain ways did, especially by comparing himself to Abraham Lincoln, saying that he is the one president that has done more for African Americans since Abraham Lincoln, right? Not John F. Kennedy, Donald Trump. Right, sure, okay. Yeah, not Obama. Donald Trump. Okay, yeah, that was just really funny. Yeah, so that's my take on the debate. It was interesting, but now the second thing I want to talk about, there are more than 47 million ballots that have already been casted in this upcoming presidential election. So about 47.5 million ballots have already been cast in the U.S. presidential election, data compiled by the U.S. Election Project shows. This is about 8 times the number of early votes cast at this time in 2016. That year, more than 47.2 million early votes were eventually cast. Because of the coronavirus pandemic and safety concerns, more people are using mail-in ballots or taking advantage of early in-person voting. University of Florida professor Michael McDonald, not that Michael McDonald, another one, the professor, administers the U.S. Elections Project, and he predicts that there will be a record turnout of 150 million, the highest rate since 1908, before World War I. And this would represent 65% of all eligible voters. So what do I think about this? This is what I'm talking about, people. This is the hope here. This is hope. You know, it's been a really shitty year for a lot of people across the world. But all I can speak about is my experience as an American, and here in America, when more people vote, I feel like more people feel better about the state of the country because they were able to make their voice, their little voice, heard, right? And the fact that hopefully, if the projection from Mr. Professor Michael McDonald is correct, over 65% of all eligible voters would have voted in this election. And that is remarkable. That is remarkable. And I honestly have not been proud to be an American probably when Obama was elected, and I was 10. So because of this year, I mean, the fact that we have come out to vote and to exercise our right as citizens, regardless of who wins this election. Now, if Trump wins, I will have other things to say. But in terms of just voting, I couldn't have asked for any more. Honestly. I would have loved to have seen 100%. I think a lot of people would have. But 65 is definitely an improvement. That's 10 points more than in 2016. About 55% of all eligible voters voted in 2016. So 10 points up. And then the year before, the election cycle before, in 2012, 54% voted. Therefore, there has been an increase the past 2 election cycles. So we'll see what happens in 2024. Hopefully it gets to 75. But only one can hope. I just think it's really cool to see that stat. And I hope that we do reach that threshold of 65% voting percentage among eligible voters in America. And I just hope Biden wins. I think people would be more at ease with a Biden presidency than a Trump presidency. And there's a lot of people who say that, you know, the left, the liberals out there, the progressives, the lefties are going to fall asleep under a Biden administration. I do not think that's going to happen. They may have fallen asleep to a degree under Obama, but under a Biden presidency, I don't think so. This Trump experience has woken a lot of people up politically. And once you're up, there's no going to sleep again. There's just not. It would take extravagant amount of wealth to pour into this country throughout our entire country, across all classes and races and creeds, to keep us complacent, right? I don't see too many people nowadays that are just complacent. You know, even the most complacent person is aware that there's a lot of unrest in this country. So, to get back to that complacent part, I think it's going to be a while, personally. Of course, I could be wrong, and if I am, I'll definitely admit it. But, yeah. This just gave me hope today, guys, and I hope it gave you hope, too. Anyways, it's been a kind of a shorter episode, and this is all I got for you today. So please follow us, The Closers Podcast, on Instagram at The Closers Podcast, on Facebook at Closers Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are The Closers Podcast. Tomorrow, UFC 254, Nurmagomedov versus Gaethje. I am going to be live tweeting that fight, so if you want to follow me on Twitter, follow me at MARC_AVACADO on Twitter, and I'll be live tweeting on that account. It's going to be a hell of a fight. Cannot wait to see what happens then. Very excited for it. Very, very excited. But anyways, Quinn is going to be at you on Sunday again, and we got a pretty cool episode coming up for you. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that the homie himself, Terrell Tucker, Big Ham, comes through to talk about some scary, spooky stuff. But we shall see. Anyways, guys, have a great weekend. Talk to you later.